Afternoon, everyone. It's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have you. Thank you to everyone that watches our little show here. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Tell all your friends about it. We've been surprised at the people that watch, so we're glad to have you. Thank you, everyone. So, Google and Microsoft and Google, they've always been at each other's necks. But the CEO of Microsoft was talking about how AI can beat Google at search. And it's funny. Well, I'm going to let you talk about that because we were talking about Bing yesterday and how we see a difference. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, back in the day, there used to be Ask, there used to be Alta Vista, there used to be so many different search engines. And then there was this little company that had this algorithm that was really good at searching stuff, basically crawling and then allowing you to search on what it crawled, and that was Google, right? And now Google is the 800-pound gorilla in search. I mean, there is nobody close to Google.
Yep.
And every major competitor out there. Really, it's just Bing right now. But every major competitor out there, they were trying to break through that barrier and try to compete with Google.
Yeah.
And the problem with technology is there needs to be a kind of like a moonshot advance in technology for somebody else to enter this space, right? And now with the current beta version of Bing, Microsoft thinks it has that moonshot that is now allowing it to compete directly with Google.
Yeah.
And there are some issues with that, right? So like right now, how does Google make money? That's the basic question.
Yeah.
Google has a bunch of stuff, ancillary services, the G Suite, blah, blah, blah. But how does Google make money? Ads.
Yep.
Right? Google's main source of income is advertising. And so when Microsoft brings ChatGPT integration into Bing, where you can now chat with the search engine and say, hey, how do I do something? And then the chat engine, the search engine replies back, this is how you do it. Yeah, but that's all great, but I want it in yellow color, whatever it is. And then it understands the context and responds back within that window. Now, there is a lot of gray area right now. How are third parties going to make money? How are they going to invest? Where are these ads going to show? Because Google will direct you to some other place, right? It'll give you a bunch of results and then it'll direct you to another place, and that publisher of the place may have ads showing. So everybody's happy, everybody's making money. But if you never leave the search engine's portal, then the only place that can make money is the search engine itself.
That's true.
How are third parties going to make money? So there's all these little details that we have to kind of figure out. However, the technology is there in ChatGPT, basically OpenAI technology, where Microsoft has a huge investment and rightfully so. So I think this was a wise investment from Microsoft's perspective into OpenAI, and then start to integrate that with one of their products like Bing and make search chat that much better. And we've kind of tested it, right? Like we were talking the other day, we've kind of tested the new Bing, and anybody can kind of sign up for the beta, and the search results are much faster. Now, there is a lot of detail behind that. We start talking about OpenAI, we talk about ChatGPT. What is the infrastructure under all of this? What drives it? And do you know what drives it?
I don't.
It's Azure.
Well, of course. Okay, now that makes sense. Makes
sense. So that was the huge investment that Microsoft made, is all that infrastructure, these large data sets that you have to kind of assimilate into, for the search engine or ChatGPT to work. It's all Azure based.
Mm.
And without Azure, this would not have been possible. So basically, in a way, cloud made ChatGPT possible.
So let me ask you this. All right. Because we've talked about the investment that Microsoft made into Azure, and before all of this, it came out, and now, of course, they're building this, phenomenal. I think it's going to be phenomenal down the line product, being powered by OpenAI and the brand new Bing. So let's move over to Google real quick, because is there a sense that Google is now scrambling to measure up to what Microsoft is doing now? Do you get a sense of that? Because, like I said, here we are. Google was the top dog for many years when it came to search and, like you say, ads and all that good stuff. And now here comes this. What do you think is happening there at Google headquarters?
So yes, Google is definitely scrambling. But there's still a lot of room for competition. Google can really one up Microsoft if they wanted to, if all of their cylinders fired right. Now, of course, Microsoft had its event. They announced certain things around ChatGPT, and of course, Google wanted to one up it. So they kind of did a haphazard event. It was a flop. Everybody was like, "Hey, Google's not prepared for this," and of course, these were like higher executives, but then the CEO, Pichai got a hold of this at Google, and he was like, oh crap, we gotta fix this stuff, right? Because that's how we make money.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden this is all the way up to the CEO, and Google already has a lot of investment in alternative models. They're using technologies like Lambda and stuff, which is similar. So there is a lot of investment, and Google. It will be interesting to see, like, the next few months are going to be very interesting to see what happens, what Google does, and then how Microsoft counters that. Because right now what we're seeing, Microsoft's kind of shown a card, and it looks like Microsoft's winning right now, but the game just started. This AI race just started. So there's a lot of room to figure out what's going to happen, and there's always things, these large companies like Google. There are so many skunk works departments in there. We don't know. There might be something that Google has up its sleeve that we don't know about, but then also Microsoft might have something up its sleeve that we don't know about either. And the what we don't hear from a lot is Apple.
That was great minds. I was just about to ask you about. Actually, I was going to ask you about Apple and what could potentially be a dark horse, because we just don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Is Amazon somewhere in the mix where they might mix AI into a lot of what they do also? And I was thinking of that, when you were talking, like, where does Apple and Amazon possibly fit in all of this?
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot from Apple or Amazon. However, there are third-party integrations with ChatGPT and Siri, and I tested a little bit, and that is pretty interesting. How when you integrate ChatGPT and Siri, now all of a sudden Siri becomes much more than just that Siri that we know. It starts to understand context much better. It doesn't just throw you out, like if it doesn't know something, it doesn't just say, hey, I found this on the web, and give you a bunch of links. It can be where it can come back and say, hey, this is what I found, but what do you mean? And then the person can say back in context, and it understand the context and say, oh, this is what it really is, and things like that. So that there are a few people out there that have already integrated Siri with ChatGPT. But
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and you can try it out as well if you have access to Siri. You can integrate it on iOS devices and stuff. But right now we're not hearing anything from Amazon.
And the only reason I brought up Amazon is because of Alexa, of course. And that whole thing. And I was like, well, it's interesting that we haven't heard a lot from them since I use Alexa. Quite a few people, use Alexa. So I would have been surprised, that they haven't thought, okay, let's integrate, some type of AI into, that operation. Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with Google, right? So
So,
you have the Google Assistant. You can, that. So compared with Alexa, Google, and Siri, Google was at the top as far as assistants go. I mean, it
yeah.
was accurate to the point and got you a lot of info. Alexa was number two, and Siri was kind of like number three. But then once you start bringing things like ChatGPT into the play, then it can just flip. Like look at what happened with Bing and Google. I mean, it just like all of a sudden it just flipped, and we're just starting. So, and that's what happens with moonshot technologies like this, is where it can really disrupt the market. And it all goes back in the day when Microsoft made that huge investment in the cloud, and
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft had said we are a cloud first company. And at that time, things were not clear, but that's when the foundation for all this was laid out. If that foundation hadn't been laid, we would not have things like ChatGPT right now, because it's running on top of Azure. We would not have the ability to effectively, cost effectively digest so much data and put it into human understandable context, right?
Mm.
So I think that's where Microsoft really hit it on the head, is that investment that they made way back when. And it would not, I think it would not have been possible if Steve Ballmer was still at the helm of Microsoft. I think that was when it all started, when Steve Ballmer left, and Satya Nadella came into play. And Satya is a tech guy by nature.
Yes.
He's an
Yeah.
engineer. So 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 that's when really things started changing, was when you got rid of the sales guy at the head and put an engineer at the head.
Mm.
Things started to change. And I mean, there's so much possibility with AI technology. I mean, Microsoft's got Xbox. They got big. I mean, their hands are in so many different things. And when you commercialize something like this and bring it to the public, you never know what the public is going to do with it. I mean, that's where really the value of it will come into play, is when you put it in the hands of that kid going to college, and they are thinking about things that we haven't even thought about, right? And they implement these new ways of, they do these new things with this technology that we haven't even dreamt of. That's when really life as we know it starts to change for us.
It's funny, because I was reading snippets of Satya's interview on the, I think it was on The Verge. I forget where he was interviewing, and one of the things that came up was, how you kind of talked about this. Google dominated the market by a significant margin, and he kind of felt that this would actually the even out as far as the search engines are concerned, kind of even things out. If I'm looking at it, and this is from somebody that's on the lower level, has a very elementary understanding of things on the back end. From what I'm seeing with Bing, I don't know, man. Bing might be it. I mean, it's something else. Just playing with it as of late, and I'm like, oh boy. Google might have their hands full if they're not able to, and like you said, they have their skunk works.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. And more importantly, this is something you talked about. I just want to see the day-to-day applications with AI.
Yeah.
We see little snippets of it, like, fridges that are able to tell you when you're out of stuff and all this other stuff. But I'm so excited about the day-to-day applications of AI,
Yeah.
how it's gonna, that for me
Yeah,
is,
the future, it's within grasp now. Like
yeah,
things like you get up in the morning and you talk to the mirror in your bathroom, and
yeah,
the mirror responds back.
yeah.
You know, you're getting dressed, and the mirror says, "Hey, you might want to put a heavier jacket on."
It's just, I mean, these are things that we've seen in various movies, that now, like you said, it's within reach. We've seen stuff like this when art, imitates life now. We've seen it in movies, and now we're like, this isn't far off,
Yeah, I mean, so we've we are like frogs slowly boiling in water,
In
right? We
water,
don't
yeah.
realize, like, I mean, think of it like Star Trek, the communicator. Now we have communicators on our wrists.
Yep.
I mean, not just communicators. I mean, they track our health. They track all these metrics. I mean,
yeah.
We fall down, they alert somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, so we don't realize how much technology is really impacting our lives until we start to dissect it. But I think this AI thing is going to be huge, and the next few months are really going to be critical. Whoever makes the investment now is the one who's going to enjoy the fruit of this labor. And I think Microsoft's in the right spot. They've got the right investments. They got of course, we never know. There might be somebody working in their skunk works on something that we haven't even heard of that might be very similar to what Bing is doing right now. But I think right now the first shot has been fired. Yeah. And Google was kind of caught off guard. Yeah. So let's see what happens next. And I'm interested to see if these various assistants from multiple companies can really change the game now, where they can understand our contacts, because we have these devices with us, right? Like it'd be interesting to have Siri take into consideration things like, okay, he's outside right now, it's about to start raining, so I'm going to answer his question this way. Because Siri can't really understand the context, because you have your watches, you have your phones, where the person is. Yeah, I mean, all these things, these devices know about us that we don't realize. And I think we're just about to enter a new age where things are going to be different. And we just have to pay attention to the little things that happen. Like changeover of Bing was such a small thing. You sign up for the beta, and all it is just a slightly bigger window, right? That instead of that one liner, it's a bigger, like it's a paragraph where you can type in stuff, or you can hit the microphone and talk to it. But the thing is, those little changes behind it is where the dramatic big things are happening. And I think that's going to change our lives in the very near future. And of course, keep in mind, there's always things like now, vehicles are becoming smart, and plug that into Chat GPT, and what are the possibilities?
Can't wait. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are just, and people have probably heard me say this, that we live in these exciting times, but the rate of change keeps multiplying. It's exponential. And I'm just I'm getting older, and I realize what's going to happen 20 years from now. I mean, the rate of change within the last 20 years has exponentially grown from the previous 20 years. What's going to happen in the next 20 years? It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's exciting.
Yeah. So I just, I'll just say this, everybody needs to pay close attention to what's going on right now, because the next few months are going to be really exciting. Yeah. And keep an eye out for what's happening. People who are averse to change, this is one of those moments where
they're not gonna like.
yeah, it's almost like going from no oil to all of a sudden discovering oil and having access to this energy, and the world changed.
Yeah.
So now we're going to no AI to all of a sudden AI, and the world change. And this change, mind you, is going to be a lot bigger than discovering oil.
It's going to be huge.
So I think with that, we'll end it. Just exciting times right now. And everybody be safe out there. And try out the Bing beta. If if you haven't signed up already, go ahead and sign up for it. There's a wait list, I believe, but I think people are still able to get access. So try it
Yeah.
out, see how it's going. Have a good one.
Have a good one.